Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to call to order our meeting of the Oklahoma City Economic Development Trust. And the first item on our agenda is to approve the minutes of the March 12th meeting, and they have been distributed to the trustees previously. Are there comments or corrections to the minutes? Chair would entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
A motion made and second. Is there any further discussion? Cast your votes, please. And the minutes are approved. The third item on our agenda is to ratify some claims that the trust has experienced in the last month. Are there any questions on the claims as were distributed to the trustees earlier? They're mostly TIF associated. There are a couple of gold things, but they're pretty much self-explanatory in terms of what they were for. So I don't, unless people have specific questions, shall we entertain a motion to approve to ratify the claims?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and second to ratify the claims. Any further discussion? Please cast your votes. And the item passes unanimously. Next, item 4, items for individual consideration. And the first item is a presentation by the Centec Manufacturing Program. And I'd like to welcome you here today.
Thank you very much. My name is John Carnuccio, and I'm president of Centec's North American operations, which located right here in Oklahoma City. And we have a little short presentation here to kind of give you an update of where we are in our startup of our operations. Go to the next slide. A little bit about our company. We design, market, and manufacture a product called a centralizer, and also stop collars are used in the oil and gas industry. You see a picture there of the product itself and then its application both downhole, and then you could see it placed on some casing pipe. Basically what our product does is when they drill a well and they pull the drilling equipment out, then they put the casing down and they cement it. And it's very important that that casing is in the center of the hole all the way down to the bottom of the well, which could be 20,000 feet. And our product does that. It centers it. It aids in the casing finding its way downhole, and keeps it centered for a good cement job. A little bit about the company. Centec was founded in 2001 in Devon, England, and a little history that I learned, and I haven't been able to corroborate yet. But apparently John Nichols loved to visit Devon, England, and so when he started his company here, Devon Energy, that's where he got the name. So the fact that our company started in Devon, saw rapid growth there, and decided it was time to expand. So they looking around for expansion sites. North America was a huge market for us, and decided to put a facility here. And Oklahoma made a very attractive destination in Oklahoma City, so here we are. We officially began operations. Production started on July 2nd of 2012. We're already in expansion mode, putting in our second production line, and we're up to, we currently employ 70 people and on 2 shifts, and expect by this time next year for that number to be just over 100 people. So business is good, and things are on the way up. And our products are recognized worldwide as being leading innovative product in the field. So a little bit grand opening in September. You see the governor there, and Commissioner Dana Murphy, and Dave Lopez, and Roy Williams from the chamber, and some of the management staff both from Oklahoma City and the UK operation. Then I'll show you some pictures of the factory itself. See the equipment we have employed. At this point, we have invested about $9 million in this facility. And so here's a look at that large piece in the back is a heat treat facility, and the price tag on that was about $2 million alone. This is our newest addition. It's a high-speed fiber optic laser cutting machine. That was another $1 million investment there. We now have 2 of these in the facility. And this is the first production line that was installed and started up and running in July. And the next slide will show you the beginning of our second line going in. As I said, we're continuing to hire and ramp up the facility. And on behalf of the management staff, both from Oklahoma City and Devon, England in the UK, we say thank you, Oklahoma City. It's been a pleasure starting our business here, and we look forward to the future.
Well, we ought to be thanking you for coming here. We ought to be thanking you for coming here, rather than you thanking us. We do appreciate that, and it reverses a trend. There's been a lot written about moving jobs offshore. Here we have an example in Oklahoma City of moving jobs onshore, and thank you very much for that. And
actually offshore coming onshore because from Devon, England, but we're happy to be here, and it's been a real success so far, but we're still early in the process, and look forward to the future.
Well, if there's anything we can do at the city level that might help that, if it's within our power, we would certainly like to try.
We certainly appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Are there any other questions? Yeah.
John, how many centralizers how many feet per centralizer?
Well, typically you put one about every 40 feet. And it kind of depends on the geometry of the well itself. We have a computer program where they give us the well geometry, we plug in the numbers, and it kind of tells how many and what the staging of them should be. But typically you're looking about one per joint, which is about a 40-foot length.
And is the stop collar per joint?
2. So you have a centralizer and 2 stop collars. Kind of holds it in place.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Well, thank you again, Mr. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Have a good day.
Okay. Very interesting presentation. We do appreciate that. And the investment was really impressive. About $9 million. That's it's probably a foolish thing to do, but it does testify to the efficacy of our efforts that we were able to land a company like that. So it was a joint venture. The chamber was important in it, and certainly the city staff was important. So thank you very much. Item B is a joint resolution with the City of Oklahoma City to support the extension of I2E administration of the Oklahoma City Technology Business Launch Program. Do we have a presentation or some comments?
We don't have a presentation. This extends the agreement that we have with I2E for 1 more year. There's no increase in funding for the program. If you remember, we provided a match for a federal grant to help start this technology business launch program at I2E. So they're just wanting another year of the program to measure their success.
Are there any comments or questions? Yeah.
I'll offer a motion to approve the item.
A motion made and approved, made and second to approve our joint resolution. Is there any further discussion? Please cast your votes. And the item is approved. Thank you very much. Item C is the status report on the current Project 180.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. My name is Eric Quing. I'm the Public Works Director for Oklahoma City, and I'm pleased to bring to you today an update of Project 180 and where we're at the moment, and a few items as you kind of look into the beginning of the summer and looking into this year of what's yet to come. So the last time that we updated was several months ago. Quite a bit of work around City Hall was really underway. There were a lot of cones, there was a lot of flagging, and hopefully as you've arrived today, you've noticed that the majority of that has actually been removed. Tremendous amount of work in the last couple of months. I've got a few photos here that I'm going to show you that are a lot of that completed work. This is the southwest corner of Park and Hudson. This is looking east from Patience Lighting Circle towards the Ron Norick Library. And so you see a lot of the landscaping that has been recently installed and the medians that are there. This is, of course, the sidewalk looking west on Colcord towards Walker. The tree installation is what's remaining here. You'll see the open tree wells, and those are actually scheduled to be done by the end of this week. Sidewalk and amenity zone on the south side of Colcord west of Walker. Both sides of Colcord are now complete from Walker to the drop-off drive on the east side of City Hall. So there's been tremendous progress in the last month getting that ready and making that a lot more pedestrian-friendly. Sidewalk and amenity zone on the south side of Colcord west of Walker, and again, you'll see that the hardscape is completed in this area. The sealing of the pavers is actually underway, and that's one of the reasons that the landscaping has not yet been installed. The landscaping will follow just as soon as the ceiling's complete. This is the southeast corner of Colcord and Lee. This is one of the ADA ramps that you'll find. This is really a traditional corner where we've really opened up access into the intersections in both directions with these widened ramps. Difficult to see in this photo, but there was a lot of work in this area with utilities, with OG&E vaults and some things, and so this was one of the last pavement areas actually to be placed. This is sidewalk east side of Lee between Main and Colcord. Again, you can see the completed work here. This is the west of the area just behind the Civic Center. This is the northwest corner of Colcord and Lee. This is the ramp that's also in the vicinity of the police station just west of downtown. North side of Colcord, east of Lee. Again, this is on the south edge of the Civic Center Music Hall. The photo was actually taken last Friday, so there's actually been considerable progress in the area that is there. The sidewalks are now complete, and so they're working again towards making the pay replacements and the landscaping installation. This is looking back in the other direction of that same amenity zone, and work is proceeding. Sidewalk on the west side of Walker between Couch and Kerr. So this is one of the areas that has been under construction for quite some time, but it's one of I would say it's the one that's catching up. It's the one that you'll see here. Pavers to start on Monday. So this is just north of our location here at City Hall. Sidewalk and amenity zone north on the Sidewalk and amenity zone on the north side of Couch west of Walker. Sidewalks are complete in the area except for just a few small areas. Those will actually be completed on Thursday and Friday of this week. The remaining areas will be finished out much like the photos that you've seen prior. So what you see here are some of the utility boxes that are in the foreground of the photograph. You'll see that they appear high. That is where all the pavers will be placed. So if you're wondering if it looks like there's different elevation changes, there's a little more work that's to go in this area. Sidewalk and amenity zone on the north side of Couch west of Walker. All of the drives on the north side of Couch are open to vehicular traffic, and that's a pretty significant change over just the past couple of weeks where we've had a lot of temporary drives while they've had some continued work here. And I think the last thing I'll show you, and one of the comments that I'll make, so that would wrap up at this point packages 1 through 5 that were the original packages for Project 180. Obviously with Mary Botanical Gardens complete, the work at the Bicentennial Park complete. This is the completion of that first phase of streetscapes. And what you have before you is the financial summary through March 22nd. You'll see the revised budget at the top of this financial slide of $176 million. You'll see that the expenditures to date that is about mid-page is about $130 million. So with a balance of 46, that includes the work that we'll actually cover in 5 additional packages. Some of those items you'll see on your agenda today. You'll see amendments to engineering contracts. You've already approved the amendments for packages 6 and 7, and so the streetscape work is proceeding. That will be constructed out of this remaining balance. You'll see work at the McGee Center. You'll see work on the pedestrian plaza. And then the 5th project is the City Hall lawn project as well. And we're still maintaining an adequate contingency. You'll see about $3.8 million is being reserved. It doesn't include contingencies inside of projects. So as we redevelop the budgets for Project 180 to ensure that we could ensure completion, projects have contingency as well. And so the financial outlook is very good, and we're proceeding forward. This last slide that I'll show you is the schedule that was shown at the previous update, and it really hasn't changed at this point. We have architects and engineers starting to work on the projects. If you look, the McGee Center was scheduled to bid this spring. You're going to find a contract amendment in your packet today that amends the contract with Frankfurt Short and Bruges to complete that package. It's a smaller package, about $450,000. Should be quickly designed, but we should be able to get that out to bid here soon. You'll see the item 2 and item 4, that's streetscape package 6 and 7. We are anticipating bidding additional streetscape packages this summer. They're going to be done in phases. We're going to approach construction differently, as I've previously mentioned, where we're going to do it in shorter blocks. We're not going to look at 10-block areas at one time for demolition. We'll look at 2 and 3 block sections, complete those smaller sections, and then move on. The pedestrian plaza later this year, and then City Hall lawn. This would include taking some of the features of the Bicentennial Park, a crosswalker, onto City Hall lawn. It won't be a complete project redesign. We're looking at mostly sidewalks of City Hall, maintaining a lot of the landscaping that is existing. There's a lot of mature trees, and frankly, it looks really nice. There is a considerable redo of the fountain on the east side of City Hall. It has suffered damage, and it's just been, it's in need of an update. It doesn't hold water, and some other things just don't make it an adequate water feature. So this is an anticipated general schedule that you can look forward to, and we would be bringing future bid packages back to you for approval. But with that, I would tell you things have moved very, very well, considering some of the weather that we experienced over the summer of last year with some of the drought conditions, the winter through some of the winter conditions, but they are wrapping work up as we speak in the next couple of weeks on the previous packages. With that, I can answer any questions that you might have.
Are there any questions for Eric? Eric, I've got a couple questions for you. One is on Main Street, west of here. We've got some new signal lights in, and there's one intersection where they're not been installed yet. How soon will that be finished?
We have placed the order for those lights, and unfortunately, we are a little behind on getting those in. It's still going to be several weeks. You'll actually find some of the vertical poles for the when we say street lights, let me be more specific. These would be the traffic control signals, or are we talking about street lights for lighting?
Traffic control signals.
Traffic control signals. You'll actually see some of the vertical poles have been already constructed, and we're waiting on the horizontal poles to attach. And so they're working as much as they can on those, but it's going to be several more weeks. In the interim, we're under 4-way stop signs. They're working okay. We're not seeing considerable backups in the morning, but it'll be a lot more efficient once we get the traffic signals installed.
The second question has to do with lighting as well. Around City Hall, are we going to redo our lights to match the very contemporary standards we put in?
The concept is, yes, that would come with the City Hall lawn package to actually redo the rest of the work. You're kind of seeing some blending between City Hall proper and the areas just east of, and so you've seen some of the new landscaping installed, but new irrigation, new electrical, the new fountain, some other hardscape features would yet come as a part of this City Hall package that's listed at the bottom of this slide.
Good, thank you. Any other questions? Rhonda has a question.
Eric, maybe you don't know the answer to this, but how is the new parking meter system going?
So I can just speak from probably a personal experience. Obviously, a lot of the city workers that walk the sidewalks between different buildings, I think we find ourselves assisting first-time users. I would say that the parking meters, they're intuitive, but it takes that first time to get the hang of it. So I think we would ask for continued patience. But I know that there may be a group or a person or two out there that finds them a little more frustrating. But I do think that once you get through it that first time, it is actually pretty simple. You can actually insert change directly, like you would in an old meter, hit the green button, and it'll print you out a ticket. But it has the opportunity, obviously, for a debit or a credit card to be used. It takes one additional step for that. But, they're really not a lot different than the older meters, other than you need to put the slip on your dash before you leave.
Are we seeing any increase in parking tickets being issued because of the contract?
I don't know that. I do see the same parking attendants around, and I do see, in my opinion, probably the same number of tickets being issued, but it's obviously being enforced. So we are seeing traffic enforcement of the new meters, yes.
You got its parking ticket, guys.
I was going to share. I've had an increase recently.
There is some justice in this world after all.
But the problem with the system, obviously, is when you have a 1-hour limit on a meter and your meeting runs long, it's not always intentional. But
Well, the next step will be to install some way we can communicate on your app, your smartphone to their.
I think that's a great idea. You do it remote from work.
That's right. But we want to get people thoroughly confused at the second step before this. Are there any other questions or comments? Eric, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Item D is the next item on our agenda. This is one of the amendments that Eric just talked about to contract for engineering services, and it has to do with the street improvements in multiple locations, $78,000. Are there any questions on this particular project?
I'll offer a motion to approve.
Motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
A motion made and second. Any further discussion? Please cast your votes. And item D is approved. Thank you very much. Item E is another amendment, number 3, to contract for landscaping architectural services, and it covers several projects. It is financed by TIF and Gold as well. Are there any questions about this particular addition?
Motion to approve.
Have a motion made to approve amendment number 3.
Second.
Have a motion made and second. Is there any further discussion? Please cast your votes. And item is approved. Item F, amendment number 2, to contract for architectural services project MB 1053 City Center East Garage, a pedestrian corridor, for a total of $6,000. Are there any questions about this particular project? This is a little different project than we've had before.
But move approval.
Have a motion made.
Second.
Have a motion made and second. Thank you. And is there any further discussion? And the item is approved. Thank you very much. Item G is another amendment. This is amendment number 4 in the amount of $17,000. Are there questions or comments on amendment number 4?
Move to approve.
Have a motion made to approve?
Second.
Have a motion made and second to approve. Thank you. Is there any further discussion? Cast your votes. And item G is approved. Item H is an agreement between Oklahoma City, the Economic Development Trust, and the Devon headquarters. Is there anything staff would like to say about that particular project?
This is an agreement between the city and the Economic Development Trust in Devon to acknowledge the acceptance of certain improvements that were made by Devon in the city's right-of-way that Devon funded and constructed, and now we would like to accept that donation.
Yes, Chip.
I'll offer motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second, we have motion made and second. Is there any further discussion or comments?
Just a word of thanks. I see Carla's here, I'm sure, on behalf of Devin, but thank you for what you're doing.
Cast your votes, and the item is approved. Thank you very much. And this is item I, is reject bids and approve revised final plans and specifications to be advertised for one of the river projects. Are there comments on this particular? We have a presentation on this one. Okay, good.
Thank you, Chairman, trustees. I'm Brian Haskins, project manager for this particular project. I was just going to come here this afternoon to give you a short summary of a rather long project history. This project began life in December of 2007. Began initially with a $1.7 million authorization for improvements to be administered by the OCPPA initially. We continued on through an allocation process, TIF funding allocation, and a resolution was approved. We continued on into August, where we had our first design meeting for this particular project to review and revise the conceptual plan. This is after, of course, we selected our Guernsey to be our consultant for both architectural and engineering services. In February 3rd, 2009, the preliminary report was approved. Next slide. And as we continued through this project from 2009, from August of 2009 through April 2011, we continued to gather revenue for this project. Before that, we were unable to sign a redevelopment agreement with the hotel developer, so the project had to be placed on hold at that time. After that time, we continued to gather revenue, and after we had the appropriate funding for the TIF, we actually began renegotiations with the consultant to go ahead and go forward to prepare plans and specifications. After we amended their contract, between September and February 2012, we actually had to redesign the project. We were incorporating some other things in the project. We actually, initially, the project was pretty much improvements behind the hotel development there on 15th and Meridian. And as we did our first redesign, we actually moved some of those amenities back to the east. And there's some other things that we incorporated, some things we had to revise because of where our budget was being projected to. On February 2nd, 2012, we actually had our first River Design District meeting. In that meeting, there were some concerns that were brought up on the sustainability of a lot of our landscaping, and a lot of the planting material was brought forward at that meeting. That forced us to have several meetings with parks personnel to discuss to look at the different species that we were planting, some of the different methods that we were using for landscaping. And as a result of that, we actually went in and did another redesign. This time we were going to look at a lot of the landscaping and plant material used. We did a lot of scaling back at that time. We went to some different products that would have been a lot more sustainable for maintenance, and it would be easier for parks personnel to be able to manage that. Moving on forward into March of 2012, Parks completed their review of this redesign, that latest redesign, and they completed that, and after that we went ahead and went forward with a full redesign. On July 3rd, 2012, ownership of the project was transferred from OCPPA to Economic Development. On September 4th, 2012, the redesigned plans and specification were approved, and advertisement began for the final plans and specifications at that time. October 2nd, 2012, we actually had a bid opening, and the lowest bid came in at $1.65 million. That was about approximately $250,000 over construction budget when you consider all the chargebacks and fees for architectural and engineering. October 4th, we went back to the River Design District meeting, back to the Shroud, and again, more concerns were brought up at that time about the long-term sustainability. Not this time was it so much on the promenade area, but it was the landscaping and plant material in the parking area. So between October and now, we've actually gone through the third redesign. This time we've actually removed the parking area completely from the scope, and done some other things as far as, since we were so overbid, we did a lot of value engineering. And next slide. And this is a current rendering. You can see that if you look at the rendering before, we removed the parking area there to the east where the plaza entrance is. That's been removed. Parks has actually agreed to do their own planting in that area, and they're going to do their own renovations there in the parking area. And pretty much as far as this is what we've got, this is what we're left with. This is going to just be a promenade project, which will be a sidewalk improvements behind the hotel redevelopment with a plaza area. There'll be several seating areas along the trail, and at the western terminus of the trail that will actually connect to the MAPS, I believe it's the MAPS 3 trail improvements. And I brought Mike Satong with me with Guernsey, and he'll explain a little bit more about specific value engineering that we did between our last two redesigns. So,
thanks, Brian. Thank you, Trust, for having me. I'll go through some of the changes. First, I kind of wanted to talk about how the project has been going on for a long time, and but the importance of the project remains. As this ties in with MAPS and with the way the boats come in, this gives us a terminus and becomes a spoke from, that parking lot is going to be full all the time when those trails come in and connect over Holser. From there, you can go downtown, you can go either way. So this particular piece of the river becomes very, very important in the long run. And so what we did to kind of value engineer some things down, when we removed the parking lot piece, that helped us. That removed some irrigation and some landscape from that area. But we've left the opportunity to tie in irrigation in the future. So when they come back to, when Parks decides they want to plant some trees and things like that, they'll be able to tie into our system and they'll be ready to go. Part of our job was to sort of plan for the future of what that area could be with the boat dock and some of those things. So that's what you see off to the east there. But with the plaza, some things that we removed some decorative lighting. We had some really cool lighting along the handrails and things that we nixed. It's not going to hurt us. It doesn't take our light levels down to where people can't see or anything. It was just kind of a decorative piece. We went from for the flat work, I mean the plaza and the promenade, we went from a lithocrete product, which is basically what you'll find at the Myriad Botanical Gardens, to a Bowmanite product, which is what you'll find at Film Row. So still really quality, decorative and nice, but just a little bit less expensive. If we can go forward a slide. This kind of illustrates another thing we did is what we agreed upon when we first started meeting with the hotel people was that we were going to scoot the promenade closer to the hotel to help give people access from the hotels to the promenade. And eventually, you stay in one of those hotels, you could go out and run downtown to Oklahoma City, you could go get on the boats and go down to Oklahoma City and start being a part of the community that way. So we worked out a deal with them where that would work, and then that would become their fire lane. So everything behind the hotel is 8 inches thick, the concrete, and then everything else is 4 inches. And what we did is, originally we had everything at 8 inches, but we didn't need that. So we removed some of that concrete, and that helped with our costs. Go ahead. Again, that area, go ahead one more time. The landscaping has, before we had done all native grass down the slope. Some of the other reasons we decided not to do that is when we did soil borings, we ran into there's a lot of urban renewal stacked up along the banks there. So that would have been a big cost to regrade all of that. Go ahead. One more. The plaza, which still remains really cool and interesting place to go hang out. We added some seating inside the plaza there. There's a couple more places to sit with the seat wall. It's lit. The front of that face of the wall will be lit with light, so when those boats are coming down the river, they're going to see that big blue wall shining on the river. It's going to be really, really interesting and give a place for those boats to come and people to be received instead of just being dropped off in that vacant parking lot. So this really creates a space for that to happen. So we lessened some of the landscape, not a lot. We added more trees actually in the plaza to provide some more shade for people to come sit. And am I missing anything else? I think those are all the pieces that were value engineered out. And what we tried to do really is do the best we can with the money that we have to create something interesting. So.
What is the engineering estimate now?
We're at about 1.3, so we're where we need to be at this point. That's all.
When will you go out for pre-bidded?
Late April, end of April, early May. That's what
construction would start when? 90 days after that?
And what we're hoping is that we can sequence our construction, so we're working through the summer, and then we can get to planting. If we need to hold off a little bit, we can get to planting in late September. So if we have another drought like we've had the past few years, which we're probably going to have, even though we have the irrigation, things will be better off if we wait a little bit. So we're working with the city on that, timing, and Parks Department.
Are there any other questions or comments?
Will there be any connection to the hotels on the west side of Meridian? Or is that just kind of in the future?
Do you mean, no, there won't be. Where you see, if you can go back to that master plan, the color version, we stop kind of right at the bridge, and then Maps 3 trails pick up, and I think they actually come up, and I don't know exactly what the route is, but they come up over. They will have somewhat of a connection to that hotel that is to the west of there, I believe. I haven't seen the plans, but I think that's what I've heard.
Any questions or comments?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next on the agenda is the general manager's report. Is there any comments? I'm sorry. I got you carried away again. I can't blame my glasses on that. We need a motion to approve this item.
I'll move the item as recommended.
Have a motion made and second to reject the bids and approve a new plan. All those in favor, please say aye. Pardon me. Cast your votes. Electronically, we can vote for it. Got carried away again. I'm sorry. Now can we do the general manager reports?
General manager reports in your packet. There's a few updates on some of the different projects that you might want to take a look at. Advanced Academics has Aren't they one of them that did they fall below their threshold and now they're picking back up again? We've had a couple of those. AAA of California's one of them that also had that, but they're picking up. Today we had the presentation from Centec, and they've received a payment for $30,000. It was also on the claims for their first job creation incentive. There's also a payment to Chesapeake Energy that was approved today, and they've created 350 jobs and received an $875,000 payment. So we're still seeing growth, and our companies are working well, and we have more prospects on the way.
Had a big announcement by GE this last week.
A big announcement by GE this past week, and we'll be working with the Chamber of Commerce and the state on that project.
Any comments from the trustees? Comments from the staff? Comments from the public? Hearing none, we are adjourned. Thank you very much.